peeps. Oh, well, that's very close. Okay, well, it's fine.
I hate when you put in video and then all of a sudden it zooms in more. You thought you had this really good angle and then no.
I mean, it's fine, because whatever. It's just, it is what it is at this point. Y'all know what I look like. Thanks. I mean, at this point, they know what I look like, so whatever, it's fine. Okay, so...
Hey, peeps, it's Josh.
Hey, peeps, what's going on? It's Josh and... Maggie's hand.
And...
No, I don't. No. Shit, wait. Okay. Hey. So, yesterday we tried to make this video, and Peterbilt.
Same thing happened, actually.
And the same shit happened, actually. So, I need to make this video, and, it's a really, really hard video to make. If you've clicked on it, which if you're watching this, you already know the title, so you already have an idea. On February 20th, at the Missoula Jim Palmer terminal, my trainer, Leah Federley, had a heart attack and passed away. And, it's been a really hard thing to process and to think about, and, it's really hard to know how to talk about death, because death is such... I don't know. Death sucks. But first and foremost, I want to make sure that I say this to all of Leah's friends and family, be it blood, trucking, whatever. Leah had a lot of friends, and Leah had... she survived by her mother and her children and her grandbabies, and the spouses of her children, but to those individuals, I just want to say that I am so very, very sorry for your loss, and my feelings about this it's apples and oranges. You can't compare them, because what you're going through is so very difficult, and I am so very sorry. So, I guess, now that I've said that, I hope that you guys understand that what I say about my feelings about Leah's passing, I have nothing but the utmost respect for the people who were closer to her, knew her longer than I did, all of those things. I respect that their grief is greater than my own, and yeah. I just want to make a video, and you guys that have watched my channel for any amount of time know that I process by making videos. And also that it's my way to honor things and people sometimes by making a video for or about them. Or, you know, something like that.
I was just thinking that Leah would have been like, I don't understand that stupid YouTube.
So, I met Leah before I realized she was my trainer. And technically I met Abby first. Abby ran over to me, and so I looked at Leah and I said, oh, can I say hi to your dog? You know, because I love dogs. And she was like, yeah, sure. She's fine. You know, she's like, she's probably going to bark at you, but, you know, if she'll let you, go ahead and say hi. I'm like, great. Awesome. Thanks. And I didn't know that it was Leah. I knew Leah was going to be my trainer, but I didn't know who Leah was. And there were several women at the terminal, so it could have been anyone. And for whatever reason, I was nervous, so I didn't connect dog with female driver, probably Leah. Didn't connect that. So I said hi to Abby, and I was loving on her, and she let me pet her. And then as I was kneeling there, I was kind of like listening to their conversation. Leah was talking to someone else. I was listening, but I wasn't listening. And I was like, as I'm petting Abby, I'm like, I wonder if that's my trainer. I wonder if I'm petting my trainer's dog right now. And we just haven't, you know, spoken yet. Are you getting mad because I petted another dog?
think he's getting mad about those guys.
Oh, yeah. Marv comes by his control issues, honestly. So, at some point I was like, "Are you Leah?" And she was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "I'm Josh, I'm your trainee." And, the immediate reaction, she kind of was like, "Oh, huh, okay." Because I don't present completely as male, obviously. And my name is male, and it was probably a little confusing for her at first. Now, the thing that you need to know about Leah Federle, she was honest with you. If she didn't understand something, if she didn't like something, or like whatever, she was honest about it. And she didn't have a great poker face. But she had an incredibly wide open heart. She was incredibly smart, and she was very brazen and ballsy. Like, she had a lot of moxie, and ultimately she always wanted to make people around her smile or laugh if she could. And if she liked you, she inevitably became either protective or you knew it if she liked you, and you probably knew it if she didn't. But there weren't many people that I encountered that she didn't like. So when I tell this initial meeting, I want you guys to understand that oh, look at the map on the side of their truck.
That's rad.
Yeah. Sorry, ADD.
It's not a truck, it's an RV.
That's what I meant. You know, this is probably why I didn't make this video right away, because how do you describe Leah Federle? Okay, so I got on her truck, and we quickly realized that we had a lot in common. We both like cross-stitching, we both love essential oils, animals. Abby was her world. Abby was her baby. We can both be very opinionated, and I don't know, I found a lot of things in common with her. And
I remember you messaging me after you met her, and you were like, "Oh, I think this is gonna work because we have a lot in common."
Yeah. So I wasn't as close to Leah as some people were, but I lived with her for months and spent all of my time with her for months, because in many situations you might have a roommate, but you won't be as close proximity to them as you are on a truck, and you won't be spending all of your time with them. If you're not sleeping, you're spending time with them because there's nowhere else to go. I feel that I really got to know her well, and that was both an honor and a privilege. Now, I've had some guilt since she passed, because there were times on the truck where we didn't get along, and we were frustrated with each other, and I would piss her off, she would piss me off. There was a lot when I was on her truck still in training that I did not understand and did not know. And then when I went solo, I called her literally, like, at first when I went solo, I was calling her about every other day. And then eventually it like slowed down until it was like once a week we were talking. And that was like not always like, and it wasn't just like I talked to her just because I needed help. I talked to her because, it's gonna sound kind of lame, but I would call her sometimes just because I missed her. Because ultimately Leah Federle became my friend. She started out my trainer. She was like, "I'm not your mom. She's like, I'm your trainer, and we've got work to do, and you've got to learn." And I was like, I totally appreciate that. She's like, it could very well be that we end up being friends. She's like, that's always the hope. She's like, but, you've got, sometimes somebody gets off your truck and you hope you never hear from them again or what have you. She's like, and that's fine too. She's like, you don't have to keep in touch with me after training, but she's like, if you want to, I'm here for you. Which was, if you think about it, a pretty amazing selfless gift, because so there were a couple of months there where there was specifically one month where she was always in the passenger seat when I was driving, and we would talk. She told me about her history. She asked me about mine. She told me she would play like her favorite songs for me. We would just talk. And anybody that knows me knows that I can talk. And I'm also a pretty good listener, I like to think. At one point Leah did say, she's like, you are a good listener. And I asked her a lot of questions about trucking. Like, well, what if this happened? Well, what if this happened? Well, what if this happened? What about this? What about this? What about this? A lot of things. And she would always respond to me and say, you know, she's like, I love that you're asking all these questions. It's good. She's like, you're making my brain hurt, but it's good. She's like, because obviously you want to learn. And you want to know things that you need to know to keep yourself and everyone else safe. She's like, but I want you to know that when you get off my truck, you're going to forget most of it. And she's like, you're not going to remember things until you specifically need them. And even then, sometimes you're going to be like, shit, what did Leah tell me about this? And she's like, in those moments, I want you to text me and ask me if I'm up. And she's like, or call or whatever. She's like, I want you to reach out to me. She's like, because you're going to have questions. Your training doesn't get finished that quickly. You're going to be learning for the first couple years, and she's like, after that, you're going to learn something new every day. And she's like, and promise me something. And I was like, what? She's like, and I'm like, you know, wondering what she's going to ask me to promise her. And she said, if you ever feel like you have nothing else to learn, please get off the truck. Because she's like, I don't want you to die on this truck. Or on a truck. And that blew me away, because say what you will about Leah Federley, but the one thing that nobody can argue with is the fact that she cared. Okay? She got paid to train me initially. After that, she didn't get paid anything. She just cared. And she wanted me to be safe and a good driver. And she took pride in getting her students through the tests, but she took pride in supporting them after. Ellie O'Dare, you guys may know her channel. If you don't, go to her channel and subscribe, because she's the dopest. Ellie was a couple of students before me. She was trained by Leah. And when I tell you that not only when I was on Leah's truck, we talked about Ellie every single day. Not bad stuff, good stuff. I mean, some stuff like that, like, oh, well, I remember Ellie did this and it taught us this or whatever. But number one, Ellie was a really advanced student, even when she got to the terminal. And then when she got on Leah's truck, Leah was like, I didn't really have to teach her how to back. She already pretty much knew it. And Ellie, if you're watching this, I know that we've had conversations and I've told you this, but I think it's important because I don't, you know, for me, like, I don't know. Leah was really, really fucking proud of you. Really proud of you. She was really proud of, and ultimately, I hope that she was proud of me too. Even though I messed up and I was, you know, I've made some mistakes. I think that one of the things that, well, I don't think this. One of the things that she told me was that she was proud of the way that I would respond to a mistake. And that I would try and make sure that it never happened again. And I don't know. But she took pride in being there for us, her students, and she took pride in getting us through our tests, but also, you know, I don't know, I think in some ways she took pride in the fact that we kept in touch with her. A couple of times I talked to her just to shoot the shit, because it was fun to talk to Leah. And she would say, oh yeah, Ellie reached out the other day, and, you know, she's doing good, so that's good. And she would be really happy about that. She cared. Okay, so she kind of cussed like a sailor, and I kind of love that about her. She had a what the fuck for every occasion. What the fuck? Well, what the fuck? What the fuck? Like, there was a different what the fuck for everything.
Good thing we're not monetized anymore.
And, why?
What the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck?
You're not allowed to curse anymore?
I don't think so.
Oh, fuck them. Whatever. It's fine. Not you peeps, but, you know, whatever. I don't honestly care about being monetized anymore. It doesn't, whatever.
We never made any money from it anyway.
No. I never made a dime off of YouTube, nor do I care. It's whatever.
Well,
Careful with him.
he jumped.
He's on the bucket. Marv, go to bed, lover boy. Go on. Marv. Marvin.
I'm going.
Take it easy on his throat. Come on, honey. Come on. Come on. Come on, Marv. Come on. Babe. Marvin. Come on. Come on. Come on. Little tug. Little tug. Come here. Come here. Oh, there we go. Sit your ass down. Sit your ass down. Hurry up.
He wants
Okay.
to snuggle with you.
He doesn't want to snuggle with me. He wants to snuggle with me now that mommy's no longer an option. So, interestingly enough, out of all of the changes from being on testosterone, and I know this doesn't seem connected to what this video is about, but take a walk with me, it is, I promise. Okay, my ribs are not a ladder. Not a ladder. Hi. Yes, I know. Give me a kiss. You rude thing. I just poked your eye. Sorry. I didn't expect to have such a difficult time. That's my rib cage, dude. Snuggle down. With processing. Number one, I didn't expect to have to process death because nobody knew that Leah was... I'm trying to adjust this a little bit. Marv, calm down, please. Please. Snuggle down. There we go. This was a sudden thing, and it was very unexpected. And initially, I was shocked, and I got a message over the Qualcomm, saying that she had passed, and I was like, this has got to be a terrible joke. There's no way. It wasn't a joke. Then I got really pissed. Like, mad. Because Leah wasn't done living. She was so full of life, and so full of love, and she was still so, like, whatever. She wasn't, I mean, she was 56 years old. Marvin, really? 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 Snuggle down. Why don't you go to bed? Why don't you go to bed, love? Go on. Let's try and fix this a little bit. Yeah, it's better. You guys, she wasn't done living. She wasn't, by far. She wasn't done. And, so I got really angry. And, I could not cry. And so it just stayed inside. And I just kept thinking about it. And just kept thinking about it. And just couldn't process it. And this is I'm gonna go more in depth about some of the trans stuff, but I'm trying to separate it because not all of you are here for trans talk. Some of you are not here for truck talk. Like, I'm trying to kind of divide them a little bit, kind of like I have on the Just Josh podcast, which you can find that over on Facebook. It's a part of Castbox. Anyway, ultimately, I almost wonder if I don't know. So this is very jumbled, and I apologize. So during the process of being on Leah's truck, she didn't understand really. I mean, she didn't really understand transgender as a thing. She didn't understand it, and it was confusing to her. But she, again, had an open heart. And that's one of the biggest things that I can't stress enough about what was so special about Leah. Is that she... Oh, look at the schoolie. That's being shipped to someone because it's got its school bus things covered.
Yeah, and the stop sign's gone, which you legally have to do.
Yep.
Oh my goodness, I'm so jealous.
So Leah didn't understand what really it was to be transgender, because she wasn't LGBT, but she was a friend and an ally to us. She had multiple transgender students and a couple of LGBT students, and she never refused one of us. She was welcoming and kind, and she's like, I really don't care, about it, when I first got on her truck. And I was like, if you have any questions, or if there's anything that I can do to help you understand, or if there's anything you're uncomfortable about, please just ask, because I would much rather have you ask than feel upset about something. And she did. She cared. So the thing that I always say about people that ask questions, even when it's on the channel, if you're asking questions in a kind, if the motivation for your question is kind, and you're honestly just genuinely curious about something, I will do my best to answer those questions, because to me that comes from an open heart and an open mind, and that's never a bad thing. So that's what I stressed with Leah. I'm like, just ask me. I'll talk to you about anything. I mean, well, not anything, but most things. And so she asked questions, and at first she really didn't get it. And at first it almost seemed like she had the mentality that I shouldn't be in a men's room, and that, XYZ. And eventually, as we talked, and as she got to know me and I got to know her, her comfort level got much better, or much higher. And she started asking real questions, like, well, and then eventually we had one conversation where she was like, it'd be pretty fucked up if you went into a women's room. She's like, that would be pretty fucked up. And I'm like, yeah, it would, because I'm not a woman. Not here, biologically, sure, I'm in the process of transitioning, so technically still a female, biologically speaking, assigned at birth female, but changing that. And making things align and making things match up. And eventually it got to the point where she not only understood it enough to accept me, which she accepted me from the beginning, but she didn't understand. She was like, well, she's like, you're obviously not hurting anyone, and that's what matters most, that you're not doing anyone any harm, and you should be able to live your life how you choose to. And then she came to the point where she was like, you didn't have a choice about this. And I was like, no, I didn't. I wouldn't have picked this. I wouldn't have chosen to be transgender. And in fact, for years I fought it. I didn't know I was fighting it, but I did. And I was. And then we got to the point where we were at a rest area in Nebraska, and I used the men's room like I do. Because on Leah's truck, she had a toilet, but she didn't use it when she had a trainee, because obviously awkward. So we stopped and used restrooms, and
that would suck.
yeah, it really did. And you know what sucks even worse is when there's trainers that will go to the bathroom with a trainee on the truck, and they'll either use a pee bottle or they'll just pee out the door. That's gross to me.
Oh, we've heard about that.
Yeah. So I went into this rest area and I used the men's restroom, and I came out and there was this little old lady with a big old head of white hair and a cane, and she was sitting on the bench outside the restrooms. She looked at me coming out of the men's room and she starts flipping out. I'm gonna call the cops. She called me a bunch of names. I forget exactly what she said at this point, because often people don't remember what you do, they remember how you made them feel. And she made me, that little old lady made me feel afraid. Because again, if you've watched any number of videos on this channel, you know that I once had a really bad experience with the police in Texas. And so to me, the police being called to do anything to do with a restroom terrifies me. Which is why we have a toilet on the truck. It was the original reason why we got one, and now I'll never live without one on the truck. So, I came out and I had prefaced this, and I told Leah about my experience in Texas, and she was like, I just don't understand why. She's like, I just don't understand. She was like, legally you were doing what you were supposed to. And I was like, yeah, well, unfortunately, it's not always safe to do what you're legally supposed to. Because legally, biologically, there's an argument that I should be using the women's restroom. And that argument is, in my opinion, if you see someone like me in a women's restroom, all my life, even when I didn't identify as trans, I would use the women's restroom and people would jump. And I would try and speak in a higher voice, apologize. So sorry, I didn't mean to scare you. Always fucking apologizing. Man, that gets old. All I want to do is take a piss and not be bothered. That's all I want. But no matter what restroom, it's always a problem. In the past. Now I think it's going to start getting easier as I get some facial scruff and once top surgery is complete, then I think it'll be a little bit easier. And even before then with binding, like, I'm pretty sure that as the testosterone that I'm on does what it's supposed to, things are going to get easier. But the long and short of it is, I came out of, I had told Leah about everything, and I'm like, if I ever come to the truck, I'm not trying to, like, tell you what to do, but if I ever come to the truck and I'm like, Leah, we gotta go now, it's probably because something unsafe has happened, or someone's following me, or the cops are being called, and it's not safe for, if that ever happens, please just trust me and let's go. She was like, okay. She's like, it's fine. She's like, I don't see why anyone would bother you about just where you're gonna pee. She's like, she's like, if it happens, that's fine. And I came out and I'm like, Leah, we gotta go. And I was terrified. And she was like, wait, what happened? What's going on? Are you okay? Did someone hurt you? And I was like, Leah, we gotta go. And she was like, you're gonna tell me what happened as we drive? And I'm like, sure, we gotta go. And, what?
Nothing.
Are you laughing at me? Oh.
Not a bad way, though.
Oh, okay. And I was, like, freaking out. And, so as she starts driving, I think it was her driving, I'm pretty sure, because I was, like, freaked. And we were driving on her, like, it was her time to drive. We were teaming at that point. And, but she would often stay up to, like, hang out with me. Not that there weren't days where we were like, as soon as our 10 was up, or as soon as our drive clock was up, I was like, I need to get away from you. I just need to go to sleep. But that's training. Not a reflection of Leah. Anyway, so we get rolling, and I told her what happened, and I was just honestly near tears. Because it was just, that's a scary thing. To have someone flip out at you like that. And after you've had the experience that I've had in Texas, it's scary. And she was like, she was angry. I mean, she went on a tirade about it. She was like, well, what the fuck? Why do they care? Why does that old bitch give a fuck what blah 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 blah? And she was just, and in that moment, I sat in the passenger seat, and Abby had jumped up into my lap because I was upset, and Abby was like, Abby's very comforting when you're upset. And I just kind of nuzzled my face into Abby's fur. And yeah. Now that I'm thinking, like, Leah was driving, I was in the passenger seat. She had a case of drinks, apple and grape, different little bottles of juice that she had gotten from a friend, and they were under my feet, and my feet were up on them. And she just got rolling, and she was just going off. And in that moment, I realized Leah is more upset about this and outraged than I am, because I feel guilty that I upset that lady. And Leah's just mad because that lady upset me. And in that moment, and she was like, she's like, I just don't get it. She's like, it's not like this is something you would have picked. You're just trying to live your life. And I don't understand why. And I could have hugged her. Like, she was 100% like on my side in that instance. And it showed me, what she thought of me, how she felt. It was just awesome. And that's just one example. No, you're fine. That's just one example of a time where she may not have gotten it when I first got on her truck. She didn't understand, but she got to know me. She came to understand, and that more than anything, I think, or I hope that illustrates a measure of how big her heart was. And maybe that's why ultimately her heart gave out, is because she used it so darn much in her life. And I'm not romanticizing the deceased. Like, I'm not trying to act like that's just who she was. At one point we were in California, and we came to a rest area. This was a time where we were teaming, and we came across a homeless man with a dog. And I used my points, because with Leah, she was like, you fuel, you get the points. She's like, because I want you to start your own truck, hopefully already having shower power and already having some credits and like whatever. She's like, so if you're fueling, you get the points. If I'm fueling, I'll get the points. But during my training, she fed me. And even there was a time where, she would make me back until I got mad. And I was like, Leah, I'm not going to get mad. It's just not, I'm here to learn. But I got mad, really mad. I did. And I was pissed because she would use words that I didn't fucking understand.